Hi guys, how you doing? Tell us if the sound's okay. Thanks, Jen. Hi Ronnie, Nick, Leona, Woody, Glenn, Andy, Jen. Thousands in, my God. Right, what I'm doing tonight, I've got a piece of horse chestnut on the lathe with a little bit of burr in. It's very green. It was only cut down maybe about two and a half months ago, something like that. So we're going to do an open vessel, and seeing as how it's wet, I'm going to try and turn it very thin so it warps. And I'm also going to colour it. And tonight I'm using chestnut stains instead of intrinsic colours, just for a bit of a change. To see what's happening in the chat, and then I'll alter the camera angle. Right, I'll just alter the camera angle, get it on the piece of wood, and then we'll get some turning done. There you go. Grand. Hi Billy. Right, I've got the lathe running around about 700. The piece of wood is about 9 inches long by about 6 inches square. So we'll just get it down into the round first. Just move the tool rest in. Turn the speed up a bit. There was the steps end digging in. We're getting there. It'll not take long with this piece of wood. It's very, very soft. Don't you just love these long streamers you get from wet wood? Right, it's up at this end here where we've got the burr. So this end is going to be the bottom. We'll just get this measured up. In fact, to tell you the truth, I'm going to take a bit off the bottom here. It's a wee bit on the soft side. What am I doing now? Right then. Just going to put my usual little groove on the tenon. And that just fits into my chuck. And we'll just get the chuck mounted. Now, the thing you have to watch when you're using wet wood or green wood is that the wood will squeeze down, so you've got to keep on checking your chuck. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'll get it shaped up. It's going to be a fairly simple shape that I'm going for. I'm using my trusty 1/2 inch spindle gouge. That's getting there. I might have to go a bit thinner. I've got this bit that's out here, unless I turn the top over a bit. Let's have a look. A little bit more. I think this curve here is a bit sharp. Not that pleasing on the eye, so I'm going to try and round that off a wee bit. That's better. Right, so I'll just stop that there. I'll have a quick look and see what's going on in the chat. When I'm doing wet wood, Billy, I usually use, Glenn said there, WD-40. I usually use just a PTFE spray, a dry adhesive spray, dry lubricant. Right, now seeing as how this is wet, I'm not going to put, or I'm not going to sand it just yet. I'll get the inside cleaned up, then hopefully that'll start the drying process. I might even use a hot air gun on it. This part here, I'm going to put some beading detail on there. I'm just going to bring the tool rest up a wee bit. Now I've got the lathe running around about 1000 RPM. And I'm getting stuck and feeling already, I'm getting some tear out there, so this might not work. And it hasn't. Now the tool is sharp, but with the wood being that soft and wet, it's just not working. So what I'm going to do now is get it drilled out. Turn the speed back down. That's running at around about 500. Now this should drill fairly quick. This should be the final one. And that's as deep as I'm going with the drill. Yes, Mike, it's a forcing a bit with an extension on. And now we'll come to get the inside cleaned out. Get the speed hanged up a bit. Right, I'm just checking to see if you can see okay. Yeah, you can see okay. At the moment, I'm just using a spindle gouge. I'm taking very light cuts. Basically just to show you that a spindle gouge can be used. You can go in the other way, cutting against the end grain. You can also, if you like, use a bowl gouge to do a similar thing. But we are going to be going fairly deep with this, and I have left that a bit on the skinny side. So I'm just going to use my, if I can find it. my Simon Grove follower. Right, the Simon Grove follower, see if we can get that on camera. The cutter itself is set at 45 degrees, so it basically gives a nice decent cut. As soon as all this is fairly open, I can get my fingers in to clean it out. Just going to stick the tool rest up a wee bit. Maybe just over a quarter of an inch at the top there. What's happening in the chat? still got a fair bit to go on the sides here. I'll start, I'm fairly down to where I want to about there. This lot here is still quite thick, but I'm just going to start cleaning these sides out. Yeah, that's good enough for me. Now I do use, for sort of bigger hollows, I use the Simon Hope hollowing system with a laser guide, so you can actually tell how thick it is. But I just found, I bet I've chucked it in the flaming rubbish, I've just found a bit of plastic the other day. And what I'm going to do with the bit of plastic, right, let's see if you can see this. Right, this is a wall thickness gauge, if you like, which came with a very old hollowing set that I had from Robert Sorby. So I'm going to actually repurpose this to fit onto one of my hollowing tools. And what I'm going to use is a piece of plastic. And what you do is, you fasten this on to the jig, so you've actually got the space of the wall thickness you want, and then it needs to be a fair way out. But as it's turning, the plastic will bend until you get to the thickness, the plastic will bend down until you get to the thickness you want, and then it'll come up and sit straight. And that shows you when you actually have the proper thickness, if that made any sense. Hiya, Paula. No, you've not missed much. Right, I'll carry on hollowing. We're nearly there. Don't worry about this, nothing broke. Right, I'm changing to a different bit now. This is again part of the Simon Hope system, but this is just a high-speed steel disc that's on here. And if you see, you've got the fasteners here, and I've got them lined up with the top of the cutter. So I can actually tell when I'm straight on, I can tell when I'm over at an angle. And primarily what I use this tool for, using the carbide cutter, the small carbide cutter, you get a lot of humps and bumps on the inside wall. And this just actually helps straighten them all out. So I've got it over at an angle. And I'm just going to clean the inside up. So a wee bit more and then that'll be us. That's in a nice uniform thickness throughout. So I'll just start off by sanding the inside. Just see if I can get in okay with this. Yeah. Right, that's been sanded to 240 on the inside. Give it a clean out. Put some sand and sealer in. And I'll just let that dry. Now you did see me put my hand in before just to measure the wall thickness. I am not going to go on the inside with my hand to do any Yorkshire grit. And if Glyn's still there, unless he's finished his second bottle of red yet, I'm sorry Glyn, but again, I'm doing colouring, so I'll not be using Yorkshire grit tonight. And even though this is, if you like, spindle work, I'm still going to power sand it. And that's actually warming it up as well. Now the reason I haven't got the dust extractor on, now when I was doing a live, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I put the dust extractor on and it knocked everything off. So I'm just leaving it off for the night. Right, we'll have a look and see what that's like. Looking very good. But all kinds of stuff going on in this grain. Right, we'll get some colouring done. I'm going to use a yellow, an ordinary blue and a dark blue on this. Now this is going to warp. I don't think it's going to crack because I've turned it fairly thin, but it is going to warp. I'm just going to stick some yellow around the base. And I might stick some yellow just in the Burr here. Just a wee bit. It'll probably get taken out by the blue anyway. We'll turn it about 80 RPM there. Now what I'll do, I'll let this dry, and I'll come back and knock some of it back. Alright, what's happening in the chat? Okay. Right, I've got a piece of 500 grit here. So I'm just going to go over this. Now these are spirit stains by Chestnut products. And if you are going to use spirit stains, be careful which sanding sealer you use. Because if you use a cellulose sanding sealer with spirit stains, basically all the colours are just going to run together. That's gone too limey. And now to the dark blue. Working with colours is all just playing, having an experiment, doing what you want to do. There's no really hard and fast rule. Now I'm just putting some yellow on here, and this is going to highlight around the Burr area. Just getting blended in with the blue. Obviously it's turning it green, because that's what yellow and blue do. Remember I said it wouldn't crack? It just has. This one I saw crack there. Maybe not. Right, I'm going to leave that to have a good dry. And we'll put on some sand and sealer. Must be my eyes, or my age, one of the two. I'm quite happy with the colouring on that, the green and the blue. I think that's turned out quite nice. It'll show up a hell of a lot better once I get the sand and sealer on, get that knocked back, and get some lacquer on as well. So, what's happening in the chat? 59 people watching. I thought it was bad enough with 50 odd on a Monday. 59 people watching on a Wednesday evening. You must be out on the telly. Thank you all for coming by the way. It's much appreciated. Right, I think I can get some sanding sealer on that now. So again, acrylic spray-on sanding sealer I'm using tonight. There's that crack. I knew I wasn't seeing things. Right, now what I don't want to do is start having, if I glue it, it may well start affecting the colour, but I don't really want to leave it, so I'm going to just put a drop of glue on from the inside and see how that goes. It should close off most of it. Didn't want that there. Right, sanding sealer. You should actually be able to see the colours pop a bit just for the sanding sealer. Right, I'll just get that turning, get it dried off. I was talking to a guy called Paul Lockwood. He's got quite a few videos out on YouTube. He popped up to visit me earlier on this year, and we were going through this drying process. And I said I usually just use the heat gun. And he said, why not? Why not just turn the lathe on and have it running to dry stuff off? And he equated it to putting washing out on the washing line, because you put the washing out on the washing line and the wind dries it off. You don't then go out with a heater and start blowing a heater against your washing. Right, what's happening? I'm having to sit down, I'm having a fag while that's drying. I'll maybe join in with a chat, see what's going on. Well, has Anna been in? Has Anna gone? Evening, Anna. Night, Anna. Thanks, Larry. The fair went pretty crap, David. Lots of short arms and deep pockets. Oh, I've just noticed that, Steve. Andy Burr is onto that. Thank you very much, Steve. Much appreciated. Here's a question for you, for those of you who have received super chats. How the hell do you get the money out? That's it, Dale. You take it down to your level. Right, let's have a look at this, see how it's getting on. Now, the other thing you've got to be very careful about, once you've got your sand and sealer on, is how much you knock it back. Because the last thing you want to do is take off all the colours that you just put on there. So I'm using a orange Scotch-Brite pad, and this has got the equivalent grit to around about 1200. So I'm just going to give it a very light knock back. Speed's just above 500. Right, and what I'm going to do now, if I can find it, I'm a bugger for putting things down and not putting them away. Right, I've probably said this before, I use the lacquer, if I'm using lacquer, I use Isopon Clear Coat, which I pick up from Halfords in the UK. I'm sure over in the States they got the equivalent in any of the auto shops across there. And the thing with lacquer is that you don't want to spray a lot on at once. You want to have several thin coats rather than one big coat. Otherwise you get lots of runs and difficulties and things like this. Just get a bit round the top. And that'll do for that, and then we're going to go back to the drying process. And I'll see what's happening in the chat again. Cheers for that, Steve. Right, now I've got to try and find something so I can reverse this to finish the bottom off. And wouldn't you know it, I haven't got anything. Well, let's get in. Just. Right, I'll just put another coat on that. Seeing how that one's touch dry. Let's find a starting point. I'm sitting down again. Just in case I forget, at the end of this live, if you're going across to Mater's Meetup in Ireland the weekend, have a brilliant time. Have a drink for me. Right, let's see how we're getting on. I hate doing this. Wipe your finger first, get all the dust off. Right, that'll do for that. This will obviously get a lot more coats of lacquer. It's had two, so what I'm going to do now, and I hope I don't bugger this up, I'm going to give it a quick knock back with some Yorkshire Grit Microfine. Not a lot. Right, we're running just under 500 there. I could actually just wax this now and it'd be finished. This is Wood Wax 22 I'm using, another Chestnut product. There we go. And I hope that'll fit in with the cloth. Yep, it does. Right. Start to take the bottom off now. Right, I'm going to leave it at that just so I can get it sanded up to that point. Then all I'll have is the little nub in the middle to get sanded off. Now I'm not going to take this all the way off, obviously, because it's not fixed. Now I'm going to try and get down as far as I can. I think that'll do me. Don't want to go too far. Just put the drill truck back in, and then that happens. I always do this. Strong enough hands to tighten them up, and not strong enough to loosen them off. Right, I'll just give that a quick wipe over with a clean piece of towel. Right guys, there you go. What do you think? I think the colours turned out absolutely, well, near enough how I wanted them. No problem, Steve, ask away, I'm here now. It's around about quarter of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. All right, the forcing a bit. tell you the truth, Scott, I don't even remember when I bought this extension, but that's the extension from, obviously from there to there. And I've had this, oh God, how long have I had this? I probably had this 25 years. And I don't honestly remember where I got it from. But you can still get them. I'm sure you can still get them. Right, any other questions? Feel free to ask anything you like. I'm not guaranteeing you'll get an honest answer, mate. Right then, Patrick. I'm using Chestnut spirit stains. I've just got the wee taster pack of them, if you like, because I don't tend to use them that often, although they are good. Obviously get them from Chestnut products. They do spirit stains, they've started doing metallic paints, they do iridescent paints, and obviously they do all the finishes as well. Much better, Nick, thanks. The owner, that's a problem I found with the extensions as well. Some of the Forstner bits I've got don't actually fit into the extensions. Steve, are you talking about the drying process of the wood, or the drying process of the stains? It'll slow it down a bit, Steve. I'll maybe put another photograph up. I'll put a photograph up tomorrow, but I'll maybe put another photograph up in a couple of weeks if I've still got the piece. Because what will happen, seeing as how it's down to about 1/4 of an inch, it's going to warp. Like I said right at the beginning, the tree was cut down about 2.5 months ago, so it's still very, very wet. So I'm actually hoping where all the burr parts are, that's really going to warp and become very textured. These, Debbie, the bottles of CA I've got are not exceptionally big. But again, I got them from Chestnut products, the super glue. That's probably a very good idea, Steve, to tell you the truth. And it'll probably alleviate, if there's going to be any cracking, it would probably alleviate that as well. I have got the wall thickness pretty much the same thickness throughout, so that helps stop cracking as well, although I did end up with one crack. Right then, guys, one final look. I love the burry bit on this. It's absolutely superb. I'm going to go in the house now. I'm going to have myself a glass of wine or 6. Again, for anybody who's going across to the Makers Meetup in Ireland at the weekend, have a fantastic time. Do lots of turning, lots of eating, lots of drinking. Maybe not so much on the hangovers, but if you carry on drinking, you won't get a hangover. I found that. It was nice to see you all. Still 54 watching. I'll catch you next Wednesday. Bye for now.